Return to Silent Hill is a psychological horror film that tries to tell a story about love, guilt, memory, and the terrible weight of regret. Even though it is based on the famous Silent Hill 2 video game, the movie tells the story in its own way. It is less in sudden scares and more interested in showing what happens when a person cannot escape painful memories. The result is a film that mixes horror with emotion. Some viewers enjoyed its dark atmosphere, while many others felt that the story became confusing. Even with those problems, the movie has several interesting ideas that make it worth talking about. The story begins with James Sunderland, an artist who is living a quiet life before everything changes. One day, he meets a young woman named Mary Crane. Their meeting is completely unexpected. Mary is about to leave her hometown of Silent Hill by bus. James accidentally delays her, causing her to miss the bus. Instead of getting angry, Mary accepts his offer to drive her back. During that drive, they begin talking like two ordinary strangers who slowly become comfortable with each other. Their conversation feels simple and natural. There is no dramatic moment that suddenly makes them fall in love. Instead, the film lets their relationship grow step by step. They discover common interests, laugh together, and enjoy each other's company. Before long, friendship turns into love. James and Mary eventually decide to live together in Silent Hill. At first, everything looks hopeful. They dream about building a future together and believe nothing will separate them. The audience sees these happy memories only for a short time because the film quickly reveals that those days are long gone. Years pass. James is now a completely different man. He no longer lives with Mary. He has become an alcoholic. His life has fallen apart. He spends his days trying to forget the past instead of facing it. Drinking has become his escape from emotional pain. His home feels empty. His work no longer brings him happiness. He simply moves through life without any real purpose. A psychologist tries to help him recover. Their conversations show that James is carrying a heavy emotional burden. The doctor believes James has never truly accepted whatever happened between him and Mary. Instead of healing, James has buried his feelings deep inside himself. Then something impossible happens. James receives a letter. The letter is from Mary. It asks him to return to Silent Hill. This immediately creates the central mystery of the movie. James believes Mary is gone from his life. So how could she write him a letter? Is she alive? Is someone playing a cruel trick on him? Or is something supernatural calling him back? James does not spend much time questioning it. His emotions take control. He immediately leaves for Silent Hill, hoping that somehow he will find the woman he still loves. As he drives toward the town, the mood changes completely. The bright world slowly disappears. The roads become empty, the weather becomes darker, a thick blanket of fog covers everything. Ash begins falling from the sky instead of rain. The town feels abandoned before James even enters it. When he finally reaches Silent Hill, it barely looks like the place he once knew. Buildings are damaged, streets are empty, windows are broken. There are almost no signs of normal life. The silence itself becomes frightening. One of the strongest parts of the movie is the atmosphere during these scenes. Nothing is rushing. There are no loud action sequences. Instead, the camera slowly moves through empty streets while strange sounds echo in the distance. The silence becomes uncomfortable. The fog hides everything beyond a few feet. The audience never knows what might suddenly appear. The town almost feels alive. It watches James. It waits for him. The film explains that many people died because of a mysterious illness. No one fully understands what happened. The disease emptied the town, leaving behind only memories and abandoned buildings. James begins searching for clues about Mary. Instead, he meets a troubled woman named Angela. Angela immediately seems nervous and frightened. She talks as though she has experienced terrible things, but never fully explains them. Her behavior makes James uncomfortable because she often speaks in confusing ways, almost as if she is living inside painful memories instead of reality. Before James can understand what Angela is trying to say, danger suddenly appears. A horrifying creature attacks him. The monster looks unlike anything human. Its movements are unnatural. Its appearance is disturbing. James barely escapes. Instead of simply running from danger, he begins realizing that Silent Hill itself is changing around him. The normal streets slowly transform into something much darker. Walls become covered in rust. Metal grates appear where roads once existed. The air becomes hotter, the sounds grow louder. Everything begins looking like a nightmare instead of a real town. James soon understands that he is trapped inside a place that does not follow normal rules. The world around him changes without warning. One moment he is standing in an abandoned street. The next moment, he is surrounded by a twisted version of reality. The horror does not come only from monsters. It also comes from never knowing what is real. Searching for safety, James heads toward the Woodside Apartments. This building once held happy memories because he and Mary lived there together. Now it has become another empty shell filled with darkness. Every hallway reminds him of happier times. Every room brings back memories that he tried to forget. The apartment building becomes more than just a location. It becomes a symbol of everything James has lost. Inside the building, James meets another strange survivor named Eddie. Unlike Angela, Eddie behaves aggressively. He appears frightened but also unpredictable. Sometimes he seems like an ordinary man trying to survive. Other times, he becomes violent for no clear reason. The audience quickly realizes that Eddie may be just as dangerous as the monsters outside. James also meets a young girl named Laura. Laura behaves differently from everyone else. She does not seem afraid. She walks through Silent Hill almost as if the horrors surrounding everyone else do not exist. She tells James that she knows Mary. This statement shocks him. If Laura truly knows Mary, then perhaps the letter was real after all. James immediately wants answers, but Laura refuses to explain everything. Instead, she runs away. Her mysterious behavior pushes James deeper into Silent Hill as he continues searching for both Mary and the truth. The apartment building soon introduces one of the most famous figures connected with the Silent Hill series. Pyramid Head appears. His massive metal helmet completely hides his face. He carries an enormous weapon. He moves slowly. He never speaks. Yet every step he takes creates fear. The movie does not rely on fast movement or loud noises to make Pyramid Head frightening. His calm, unstoppable presence is enough. Even Eddie loses his courage and runs away. James barely survives the terrifying encounter. The experience leaves him shaken. For the first time, he begins questioning whether he is losing his mind. Nothing inside Silent Hill makes logical sense anymore. Every answer creates two new questions. Every memory feels incomplete. Every person he meets seems connected to Mary in some mysterious way. James continues moving forward because turning back no longer feels possible. His journey has become more than a search for his lost love. James leaves the apartment building with more questions than answers. Instead of finding Mary, he has found strange people, terrifying creatures, and a town that refuses to behave like the real world. The fog still covers every street. The ash continues falling from the sky. Every step forward feels heavier than the last. It is as if Silent Hill is forcing him to remember something he has tried to bury for years. As James walks through the deserted streets again, he notices that nothing stays the same for very long. Buildings seem to change shape. Roads that were open a few minutes earlier suddenly become blocked. Doors appear where there were no doors before. The town almost feels like it is reading his mind and reacting to his emotions. This idea becomes one of the movie's biggest themes. Silent Hill is not just a haunted town. It is a place where guilt, fear, pain, and regret become real. The monsters are not random creatures. Many of them seem connected to James' memories and emotions. Although the movie never explains every detail clearly, it wants the audience to understand that the town itself acts like a giant mirror, reflecting whatever darkness people carry inside them. While searching another empty street, James suddenly notices someone standing in the distance. At first, he believes it is Mary. His heart begins racing. He runs toward her. But when the woman turns around, he realizes something strange. She looks almost exactly like Mary. The same face, the same eyes, the same voice. Yet something feels different. She introduces herself as Maria. James is completely confused. Maria knows things about him that a stranger should never know. She speaks confidently. She smiles often. Unlike Mary, who is gentle and quiet, Maria behaves in a much more playful and confident way. James cannot understand how someone can look so much like the woman he loved. Maria agrees to travel with James. She believes they should continue searching together. James accepts because he hopes she may somehow lead him closer to the truth. As they continue walking, James begins remembering moments from his past. These memories appear suddenly, almost like dreams. He remembers Mary's connection to a strange religious group operating inside Silent Hill. The cult was led by Mary's father. The rituals shown in these memories are disturbing. People gather inside dark rooms lit only by candles. Strange symbols cover the walls. Mary is forced to participate in mysterious ceremonies. She appears frightened. At one point, James remembers seeing Mary being given unknown drugs during one of these rituals. She becomes weak. She loses control of herself. James desperately wanted to save her. The memories suggest that their relationship slowly fell apart because of everything happening around them. Unable to stop the cult or protect Mary, James eventually left Silent Hill. He believed leaving was the only way to survive, but leaving also meant abandoning the woman he loved. That decision has haunted him ever since. The movie slowly suggests that James has never forgiven himself. Every painful memory inside Silent Hill reminds him that he ran away instead of fighting for Mary. James and Maria eventually reach Brookhaven Hospital. Hospitals normally represent healing. Inside Silent Hill, however, this hospital represents suffering. The building is almost completely empty. Wheelchairs stand abandoned in dark hallways. Hospital beds remain untouched. Medical equipment lies scattered across the floor. The silence inside feels even more disturbing than outside. Every hallway seems endless. Every room hides another unpleasant surprise. While searching through patient files and abandoned offices, Maria discovers an old audio recording. The tape reveals shocking information. Mary had been poisoned. The poisoning caused permanent injuries. Her suffering continued for a long time. James listens quietly. His expression changes. He begins realizing that Mary's suffering was far worse than he had allowed himself to remember. Before they can understand everything on the tape, the hospital suddenly changes. Without warning, lights begin flickering. Walls become covered in rust. Blood stains appear. Metal cages replace ordinary doors. The hospital transforms into its nightmare form. This sequence is one of the strongest visual moments in the film. The building itself seems alive. Every room feels dangerous. Every sound echoes through empty corridors. The audience never knows where the next attack will come from. As James and Maria try escaping, grotesque nurses appear. Their movements are unnatural. Their faces are horrifying. Instead of behaving like ordinary people, they move almost like broken machines. One of the nurses suddenly attacks Maria. The attack happens quickly. James tries to help, but everything happens too fast. Maria is stabbed during the escape. James is horrified. He wants to save her. Yet he is forced to keep moving because more monsters continue surrounding them. The emotional impact of this moment is interesting. James has already lost Mary. Now he may lose Maria as well. Even though Maria is not exactly the same person, James has already formed an emotional connection with her. Losing her feels like losing Mary all over again. While searching for another exit, James hears Laura calling his name. He follows her into another room. Instead of finding safety, he discovers something even more terrifying. Waiting inside is a gigantic creature that resembles Mary in a twisted, monstrous form. The creature is enormous. Its appearance combines sadness and horror. Rather than feeling like an ordinary monster, it seems to represent Mary's suffering. James cannot believe what he is seeing. The woman he loved has become something almost impossible to describe. Before he can understand what is happening, everything suddenly changes again. James wakes up inside Brookhaven Hospital. This time, everything looks normal. Doctors walk through the halls, patients fill the rooms. His psychologist is standing beside him. The doctor calmly explains something shocking. Mary died shortly after their relationship ended. James never rescued her. He never brought her home. Instead, he became completely obsessed with the idea that she could somehow be saved. According to the psychologist, James has been unable to accept reality. His mind created fantasies because the truth was simply too painful. This revelation completely changes how the audience views everything that happened earlier. Were Angela, Eddie, Laura, and Maria real? Were they all simply parts of James' broken mind? Or does Silent Hill truly have supernatural powers? The movie refuses to provide easy answers. Instead, it keeps both possibilities alive. This uncertainty is one reason why many viewers found the film fascinating. It is also one reason why many others found it frustrating. Just when James thinks he finally understands what is happening, the hospital transforms once again. The nightmare world returns. The psychologist disappears. The monsters come back. James realizes that escaping reality will not solve anything. He must finally face the truth that he has been avoiding for years. His journey is no longer about finding Mary. It is about discovering what really happened to her. Every step now brings him closer to a truth he may not be emotionally prepared to face. James continues walking through the nightmare version of Brookhaven Hospital. By this point, he is no longer surprised when the world changes around him. Instead, he begins accepting that Silent Hill follows its own rules. The town shows him only what it wants him to see. Every room feels connected to his memories, and every creature seems to know something about his past. As James searches for another way out, he starts thinking about everything he has seen since arriving. Angela is always surrounded by sadness. Eddie is filled with anger and fear. Laura behaves like an innocent child who refuses to accept painful truths. Maria looks exactly like Mary, but acts very differently. None of these encounters feel normal anymore. James slowly reaches one important conclusion. Maria cannot be a real person. She knows too much. She appears whenever James feels lonely. She disappears whenever danger becomes too great. It is almost as if she exists only because James wants another chance with Mary. This realization becomes stronger as he continues exploring the hospital. The movie spends time showing James struggling with this painful idea. He wants Maria to be real because losing her would mean accepting that Mary is truly gone. His heart refuses to let go, even when his mind starts understanding the truth. Leaving the hospital, James follows another strange path that leads him into a large art gallery. The gallery is unlike anything seen earlier in the movie. Instead of paintings showing landscapes or ordinary portraits, every wall is covered with pictures of Mary. Some paintings show her smiling, some show her crying, some show her looking frightened, others show her standing alone in darkness. James walks slowly through the gallery. Every painting reminds him of another memory. Some are happy. Many are painful. The gallery feels less like a museum and more like a collection of James' own memories placed on display. The scene quietly shows how deeply Mary still lives inside his heart. James stops in front of one painting and finally speaks honestly to himself. He admits that he has been chasing an impossible dream. He says that he no longer needs Maria because she is only a shadow of the woman he truly loved. It is a painful moment because James understands that pretending cannot heal him. Only accepting the truth can. As soon as he says these words, the atmosphere changes again. Maria appears behind him. She looks frightened. She begs James not to leave her. For a brief moment, James almost changes his mind. He remembers all the time they spent together since returning to Silent Hill. He feels guilty about abandoning her. Then another familiar figure steps out of the darkness. Pyramid Head appears once again. The giant executioner walks slowly toward Maria. James tries to stop him. He shouts. He reaches out, but he cannot save her. Pyramid Head kills Maria without saying a single word. The scene is shocking, but it also carries a deeper meaning. Maria represents James's refusal to accept reality. Her death symbolizes the end of that illusion. For one brief second, James notices something even stranger. Under Pyramid Head's massive metal helmet, he catches a glimpse of his own face. The image lasts only a moment. Still, it completely changes the meaning of the character. James begins wondering whether Pyramid Head is actually another part of himself. Perhaps the monster is not hunting him. Perhaps it exists to punish him. This psychological idea becomes one of the strongest parts of the film. The horror no longer comes only from monsters. It comes from James slowly realizing that he may be responsible for everything happening around him. After leaving the gallery, James continues toward another familiar place. He reaches the Lakeview Hotel. Long ago, this hotel was one of the happiest places in his relationship with Mary. They spent peaceful days there together. Now the building stands empty. Dust covers every room. Furniture is broken. The once beautiful hotel has become another symbol of memories destroyed by time. Inside the hotel, James meets Laura again. Unlike before, Laura finally begins speaking more openly. She explains something that leaves James speechless. According to Laura, Angela, Maria, and even Laura herself are connected to Mary's life and personality. They are not ordinary people. They represent different parts of Mary's experiences, emotions, and memories. Whether this explanation is supernatural or psychological is left open for interpretation. The audience is never forced to accept one single answer. Instead, the movie encourages viewers to think for themselves. James keeps walking through the hotel. As he searches room after room, he suddenly witnesses another terrifying vision. He sees Angela being attacked by a monstrous creature. The monster resembles Mary's father. Its appearance is horrifying. The scene suggests abuse, fear, and emotional trauma without explaining every detail. Angela disappears into darkness while the creature surrounds her. James cannot save her. Once again, Silent Hill forces him to watch suffering without giving him the power to stop it. This repeated helplessness reflects his greatest emotional wound. He could not save Mary. Now he cannot save anyone else. Eventually, James reaches the roof of the Lakeview Hotel. The wind blows through the empty building. Ash continues falling from the sky. The town below looks completely lifeless. Standing alone on the roof, James finally experiences the memory he has tried to suppress for years. The final truth returns. Months before receiving the mysterious letter, James had actually returned to Silent Hill. Mary was already dying. Years of being drugged by the cult had destroyed her body. She was living in constant pain. There was no hope of recovery. James stayed beside her during her final days. Mary understood that her suffering would never end. She begged James to help her. She asked him to end her life peacefully. James could not bear watching her suffer anymore. With tears in his eyes, he finally granted her request. He gently smothered to death. The memory completely breaks him. Everything suddenly makes sense. The mysterious letter, the monsters, the guilt, Maria, Pyramid Head. Every nightmare inside Silent Hill has been forcing James toward this forgotten truth. He did not lose Mary because someone took her away. He lost her because he ended her suffering himself. Although he acted out of love and mercy, he has never forgiven himself. His own guilt became a prison much worse than any jail. At that moment, the giant moth-like creature appears once again. This terrifying version of Mary slowly approaches James. Unlike earlier encounters, James does not run. He no longer fights. He simply looks at the creature. With tears running down his face, he apologizes. He admits everything. He tells Mary that he loved her. He tells her he never wanted her to suffer. He says he has carried this guilt every single day. As he speaks, the monster slowly changes. Its frightening appearance disappears. The creature transforms back into Mary's human form. The scene is quiet, emotional, and heartbreaking. Instead of ending with violence, the confrontation ends with acceptance. James has finally faced the truth he spent years trying to escape. The psychological journey that began with one mysterious letter has reached its emotional conclusion. James stands silently before Mary. For the first time since arriving in Silent Hill, he is no longer running from fear. He is no longer searching for answers. He finally knows the truth. The memories that were buried deep inside his mind have returned, and there is no way to hide from them anymore. Mary looks peaceful now. The frightening monster has disappeared. The horror that surrounded her was never only about physical appearance. It represented James's guilt and the pain he carried inside himself. Once he accepts the truth, that terrifying image slowly fades away. James falls to his knees. He cries without trying to hold back his emotions. Throughout the movie, he has tried to stay strong, but now every feeling he buried for years comes rushing out. He remembers the happy days they shared. He remembers their first meeting. He remembers the dreams they planned together. He also remembers the illness that slowly destroyed Mary's life. The movie suggests that love and pain often exist together. James loved Mary deeply. That love never disappeared. But the same love became the reason for his greatest suffering. He believes that no matter what his reason was, he still took away the life of the person he loved most. That thought has haunted every moment of his life. The story now moves toward its final emotional scene. James gently carries Mary's body back to his car. The drive is completely silent. No music tries to force emotion. Only the sound of the engine and the empty roads remain. The silence makes the moment even more powerful. James reaches a pier beside the lake. He sits quietly for several moments. He looks at Mary one last time. There are no dramatic speeches, no final argument, only sadness. He slowly starts the car and drives straight toward the edge. The vehicle falls into the water below. The audience immediately understands what this action appears to mean. James has chosen to die beside the woman he loved. Whether this is punishment, escape, or peace is left for the audience to decide. The movie refuses to explain everything directly. Just when it seems that James's story has ended, the film presents one final surprise. James suddenly opens his eyes. He is alive. He finds himself back at the very beginning of the story. He is once again driving near the place where he first met Mary. Everything looks bright. The roads are normal. There is no fog, no ash, no monsters. Mary is standing near the bus stop exactly as she was years earlier. For a moment, it feels as if time itself has been reversed. James remembers everything that happened inside Silent Hill. This time, when Mary misses the bus, James makes a different decision. Instead of taking her back to Silent Hill, he drives away from the town. The movie ends without clearly explaining whether this is reality, a dream, another chance, or simply James finally making peace with his past. Some viewers may see it as redemption. Others may believe it is only the final fantasy of a dying man. The ending remains open to interpretation. That has always been one of the defining qualities of Silent Hill stories. Instead of answering every question, they encourage people to think about the meaning long after the credits roll. Looking at the movie as a whole, its biggest strength is easily its atmosphere. Very few horror films create such a constant feeling of loneliness. The empty streets, thick fog, falling ash, abandoned buildings, and disturbing sounds work together to create a world that feels deeply unsettling. Even during quiet scenes, the audience never feels comfortable. The production design deserves praise. Every location feels carefully built. The apartment building, hospital, hotel, and streets all look worn, abandoned, and emotionally heavy. Rather than relying only on jump scares, the movie uses its locations to create fear. The visual effects are also impressive in many scenes. The nightmare transformations are disturbing without becoming completely unrealistic. The monsters are designed to represent emotional pain rather than simply frightening creatures. Pyramid Head remains one of the strongest visual characters in the entire film. He speaks no words, yet his presence dominates every scene in which he appears. Jeremy Irvine gives a committed performance as James Sunderland. His character spends most of the film confused, frightened, and emotionally exhausted. He successfully shows the gradual change from denial to acceptance. His performance becomes strongest during the final act, when James finally confronts the truth about Mary. Hannah Emily Anderson also leaves a strong impression by playing both Mary and Maria. Although both characters share the same face, they feel completely different. Mary appears gentle, loving, and emotionally wounded. Maria is more confident, mysterious, and seductive. Playing two emotionally opposite versions of one character is not easy, but she manages the challenge well. The background music fits the story nicely. Instead of becoming loud all the time, it often stays soft and emotional. Silence is used effectively throughout the movie. Many scenes become frightening simply because almost nothing can be heard. The sound design deserves special appreciation. Simple noises like footsteps, distant metal sounds, breathing, and echoes create constant tension. The psychological side of the story is perhaps its most interesting feature. This is not a horror movie where monsters exist only to kill people. Almost every creature represents fear, guilt, grief, or emotional trauma. Silent Hill itself feels like a place that forces people to confront the darkest parts of themselves. That idea makes the story much deeper than a simple supernatural thriller. However, the movie also has several weaknesses. The biggest problem is that the story can become confusing, especially for viewers unfamiliar with the Silent Hill games. Important ideas are sometimes introduced without enough explanation. Several scenes depend heavily on symbolism instead of clear storytelling. As a result, many viewers may struggle to understand what is actually happening. Some supporting characters also receive limited development. Angela, Eddie, and Laura are interesting personalities, but the movie does not spend enough time exploring their individual stories. Their emotional impact could have been even stronger with additional screen time. The pacing is another issue. The middle section occasionally slows down because James spends a long time walking through similar environments. Although these scenes build atmosphere, they may test the patience of viewers expecting faster storytelling. Some horror sequences also feel repetitive. James enters another building. The world transforms. He encounters another monster. He escapes. This pattern repeats several times before the story reaches its emotional climax. The film received mixed to negative reactions largely because of these storytelling issues. Some audiences admired its faithful visual style and psychological themes. Others felt it failed to capture the emotional power that made Silent Hill 2 such a beloved game. Overall, Return to Silent Hill is less about ghosts and monsters than about guilt, grief, forgiveness, and acceptance. It asks difficult questions instead of providing simple answers. Can a person forgive themselves after making an impossible decision? Can love survive guilt? Can painful memories ever truly disappear? The movie suggests that healing does not come from forgetting the past. It comes from finally facing it. While the film is not perfect and may leave some viewers frustrated by its ambiguity, it offers memorable visuals, a haunting atmosphere, strong emotional themes, and a thoughtful central performance. For viewers who enjoy psychological horror that focuses more on the human mind than constant scares, Return to Silent Hill provides an experience that stays in the memory long after the story ends.